Welcome to the show. I'm so glad that you're here. You're going to be so glad that you're here. I have Aaron LaPedis with me. If you don't know Aaron, you're going to get to know him really well today. And you're going to be so happy that you know him. He is genius at some amazing things that you're going to want to know about. Aaron, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for being here.
Kim, thank you very much for having me on. I'm really excited.
Yeah, I'm really excited too. You are the garage sale millionaire. You are the guy that is the greatest collector and figure outer of how much you can sell stuff worth and what stuff is going to move or not. And how did you come up with this? How did you go from birth to this genius, Aaron? What is your story?
My story, I like to say it's a common one, but it's not so common because I, at 9, wanted more toys. Actually, that part is very common. Like every kid, we want more toys. We're bored of the old, we want the new. And my parents weren't having it. And so my mom came up with the idea that if I wanted more toys, I had to take all the old toys I had, and they were going to take all my old clothes and all the things that they didn't want. And she taught me about this thing where you put it on your front lawn, tell your neighbors and your family, and you call it a yard sale or a garage sale, depending on where you live. And all these people will come and buy your used stuff and give you a lot of money for it. Whatever money you make, you can take that money and will allow you to buy new toys. And I go, I'm in. And so we started with it. And soon we lost my dad. My dad had a tap out and he goes, You guys are doing well with this. And I go, Dad, but what am I going to do? And he goes, if your mom's not around, you're going to ask them what they want and they're going to tell you. Then you're going to ask them what they're willing to pay for it. You'll ask for a little bit more and you're going to sell the item. It's going to be easy, son. You got this. Remember, I was only 9 at the time. And soon my mother got bored, so she left. So I'm running this big garage sale by myself. And I don't know, 3, 4 hours later, my dad comes and checks on me. And he goes, Son, how are you doing? And I show him all this wads of money. And he goes, Oh my God, Aaron, how did you do that? And I go, Dad, I just took your advice. I asked them what they were looking for. I saw if I had it. Then I asked them for more money and then I sold it. And when I'm explaining the routine, we hear the scream from my mother. It was a guttural, heart-wrenching scream. So me and my dad run into the living room and my mom screams, We got robbed. We got robbed. And my dad goes, Oh my God, we got robbed. And I said, Dad, no, we didn't get robbed. And he goes, What do you mean we didn't get robbed? All our furniture is gone. And he goes, No, Dad, we didn't get robbed. I sold it just like you taught me to. Let's just say that garage sale cost my parents $2,000 or $3,000. And my father, if there was going to ever be a divorce in my family, it was going to happen on that day. And that was the start of the garage sale millionaire. The next year, they didn't leave my side, and I got really good. By 13, I was going to other people's garage sales. I was going on little newspaper ads and buying people's stuff. And my claim to fame is when I was in my early 20s, I was a millionaire.
Wow. Wow. Okay. Aaron. I can't believe you sold the furniture, but I can because it's worth some money. So
Yep.
you
They
got to have
asked for it.
money for toys. That's right. And then you were a millionaire at age 20 by doing this, by
Yep.
buying and reselling or having your own stuff and selling it, and you just kept doing it. You must be a great saver and you must be a great negotiator. Like they're probably waiting for you to give this up and go to the tables where negotiations really matter. Like that's probably where you need to be. How did you develop these skills? Or are you one of a kind? Do you know anybody else in the world who has done what you've done?
No, I know there's other people that are hopping on the garage sale bandwagon and they're other experts out there. Nobody like me that started at my age and was able to pull off because Kim, you have to recognize when I was 9, there was no internet, there was no cell phones, there was no social media, there was no eBay. I may be dating myself just a tad, but I did it the hard way, face to face. And so I believe the way I did it really gave me skill set that I could take along with me when I got older. And yes, I negotiate everything. And that's how I really got good because I could look at somebody and understand what was the bottom that they would take. And I could read their face very well and always knew that I could ask for a little bit more. And I never had a problem asking. No did not affect me. Matter of fact, you would have to say no to me about 5, 6, 7 times, show me the door at least 3 times before I really got to hit that no means no. And I just, I did well at it. Not only garage sales, I did estate sales. I went to secondhand stores. I was doing storage unit auctions before anybody ever heard of Storage Wars. I did it all in my teens. I loved it. And I got so good at negotiating, which how to become a garage sale millionaire, my new book. I have a chapter on negotiating because if you can't negotiate, you're not going to be able to do what I do. And it's not that hard. A lot of people, Kim, get scared on negotiating. In my day, with all the art and the collectibles, I do a lot with real estate. I probably negotiated $500 million worth of deals in my life, and you get really good at it when you keep on doing it. And so I break it down very simply about how to read people, how to dress appropriately when you're going to negotiate, know when to walk away, know when to kind of uh, be friends with them. I talk about all about that in the book, Kim, because the number one skill in this book really is to negotiate, because in our lives, everything is a negotiation.
Isn't that the truth? Isn't that the truth? So I could see where this would be good for poker players, anybody in real estate. This would be good for a whole lot of lawyers. A whole lot of people would benefit just from that one chapter because it is such a skill, and it's not something everybody has, is the skill of negotiation, and frustration can come in. And like when you first started, did you get frustrated with things, or did you just let them lie? Like, was there ever anything when you were young that you went, "God, I never should have bought that," or "Shoot, I can't believe I missed out on that"?
That did happen, but everything I did, whether I bought it for too much, lost the deal, taught me a lesson. And I would have had no other deals go any other way, but the way they did. Because so many people believe that they go into a deal and they stick to their guns. They offered them for $1,000 item, they offered them $200, and they didn't budge. And they're so proud of themselves that they walked away and they didn't budge and they lost that item, but they stuck to their guns. Well, my book is about telling you that that's not a good deal if you didn't win the deal. Everybody needs to make a little money or it's not a win-win. And it's okay to leave a little money on the table, especially when you know how much you're going to make. And so I believe with every less hard lesson I learned, it was a teachable moment for me. And that's what I try to do in my book.
I like it. I like it. So what is the best thing that you've ever found that you went, "Wow, this is a treasure"?
A lot of the people say, was there that one thing that made you a lot of money? Well, there was a lot of things that made me a lot of money over the years. Looking behind me, I have in the room that I'm in, I call it my presidential room, has documents of all the presidents from
Mm,
George Washington, which is right above my head, flanking by Abraham Lincoln and all the other wonderful greats, Thomas Edison. All these were bought in online auctions. And so having a skill set of buying those. But the first one that really told me that I knew what I was doing is when I was at a garage sale and I bought a tin toy that a soldier brought back from Germany. and it was a monkey on a motorcycle. And I bought it. I did not know anything about it. He wanted 22, $25. He said he wouldn't go a dime lower. And I was okay with it, but I didn't know anything about tin toys, but I felt good about it. I looked underneath it. I saw where it was made. I saw it was definitely older. I knew the story behind it, and I gave him what he asked for. And I'm so glad that I did not burn the bridge and not buy it, because when I bought several things from him, and when I got around to it to put it on eBay, it was about 4 or 5 months later, and it eventually sold for right under $1,200.
Wow. Wow, that's a nice profit margin.
So that was great. On a live auction that I went to, there was a aquarium where you would keep goldfish filled with foreign coins and paper money. And I love, this is my second favorite story, where I looked at it and there was like 10 other people looking at it. And oh my God, there must have been 3,000 coins in there and probably about 100 pieces of paper money. And I knew that a lot of that stuff was worthless, but I was seeing something that was telling me that I should stick with it, because I understand what silver looks like on the side, on the coins. And I couldn't, they had it was all cellophaned off or shrink wrapped where you could look at it, but you couldn't touch it and move it around. And so there, everybody was in it at $100. Then people dropped out at $200. Then it was me and this one guy. I think just I'm trying to impress the audience, and he stuck with me until $300. And with the auction fee, and by the time I got it, I paid right under $400, and I made over $5,000 on that,
Wow. Wow.
because what was in it was a whole bunch of silver coins dated back to the 1800s.
Oh my
And
word.
nobody could see that. But since there was, I would have to say, almost 20 pounds of coins, it was one of my favorite things, because it was truly like a treasure hunt. And I went to my car and I'm going through all these coins. I hadn't even left the parking lot of the auction house. And I was just over the roof with how happy I was.
Oh, that's so cool. That's so cool. What about the opposite end?
I have bought some storage unit auctions. So just know, Kim, that show Storage Wars is not real. And for them, when you think you're going to find a safe deposit chest with gold bars in it, or a gun safe with, old Colt pistols from the Civil War, that's not real. That does happen. One out of 500 storage auctions, you'll find something that's really worth a lot. But a lot of times you're guessing. You're trying to take educated guess. And there was been times that I bought some storage units that I broke even, but I worked my butt off
Mm.
clearing it out. And I thought I saw something that I wanted to take a gamble, and the gamble went south. But there's been other times I bought storage units that I found diamond earrings in it,
Mm.
an expensive bike that I could only see the front wheel. And I've won more than I've lost, but you got to go with your gut. But I'm not that guy that says I've won every one, because I haven't. Nobody has. We take some losses. I still take losses, but I take the risk for the overall gain.
Yeah, well, in business, if you're going to be in business for yourself, you're going to have some ups and downs. You're going to have some deals that are better than others. It's just the way it is. In life in general, that's just the way it works. I don't know of anybody who everything turns to gold, right? And so it's just the way it is. And so rolling with it, did you always have this demeanor where it was just easy to roll with the downs?
Absolutely. I've never beat myself up. There's been the only time, Kim, that I have beat myself up is when I didn't close the deal and I got greedy.
Mm.
And I did not think it all the way through. I didn't put a max bid, and I walked away because I felt, I was happy where I was, and somebody in the last couple seconds got the deal from me. That's the only times I really beat myself up. And I beat myself up for that day, and I learned from it. I move on. But there's going to be a reason why you didn't get it, and you'll learn from it. You'll study that item a little bit better after the fact to make sure you should have got it or you should have lost it, just so if it ever comes again, you'll know about it. So every time I truly believe it's a teaching moment, whether I win it or not.
Yeah, the great attitude. Great attitude. So I imagine that attitude carries over in life.
I believe so. It's a life, with what I do and with my when you have a family and you have a young child, especially a teenager, you got to kind of have to run with it. A lot of curveballs are thrown at you, and it's the way you handle it and the way you look at it is the way it's going to be caught. And sometimes if you don't see it coming, you're going to miss it and you're going to get hurt. But life is that curveball constant. And I believe that being in my 50s, I'm a lot luckier than most because I believed truly that when a lot of people throw away things, a lot of people are about throwing away and trash, and that kind of whole theory goes to people where we throw away people and things and moments. I've learned a lot about buying and selling and treasuring everything and everyone. And I know it's kind of a deep picture, but it goes about how this world is about expendable. Everything's expendable. Everything's able to be thrown away and bought new. Well, there's a time now where things, the used and the old, are now collectible and fun to have. And that's the way people should look at everything.
Yeah, yeah, it is interesting. I go to an antique store and the dishes that I registered for when I got married are now for sale at an antique store. And I'm not quite sure how I feel about that because I don't feel like I'm old enough that they are antiques, but apparently, hopefully that doesn't make me an antique. I don't know how it works, but it's interesting to see. And what an interesting perspective, Aaron. I think it's so true. We're way too quick to throw people away, and we're way too quick to discard people. And I, with the world the way it is, and people being disjointed and lack of harmony in places, I just have a hard time seeing a need for that. Like, we should just all get along. I mean, I think it's okay for other people to have whatever opinion they want. They're allowed to. And I don't know about you. I want to ask you about this. Have you ever been in a conversation with somebody who maybe it becomes a confrontation, maybe it stays a conversation where you have an opposing view and they change their mind?
Oh, yes.
Really?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I haven't, so I want to hear your secret to this.
I try to give all the sides to make it look like I'm thinking on the other side of the fence. And I try to give my view, but in a softer approach. And I have had people, it is actually back to negotiating. I've had people that are dead set to not believe what I had to say, but I will always start, I see your side, but let me tell you about my side and see if you see what I'm seeing. And there are times that people are not open to see other people's side until it's explained with kindness and openness and at a different angle. And I believe, if your side is right, and not every time I'm talking, I'm right, but if you're right and you explain it well, I think there's a lot of people that are open minded and will at least listen. And if they now see your way of viewing the situation, they will come over to your side.
Well, and I would imagine then the opposite maybe is true, where somebody has explained their side and maybe has changed what you've thought about things a little.
Oh, 100%. I was always quick, Kim, to respond to people. And then I would make the wrong choice because I did not want to ponder on the question or the statement. Now I truly believe, and maybe this comes with age, little wisdom. Now, if it's some deep thought or statement, I will say, I don't know the answer, but give me some time to think about it. And I'll sleep on it and come back to them. And I love that I do that now because there are times that my first thing is to say no, or say that's not true, or I don't believe in that. But when I say, please, I need to think about that, and I come back to it the next day, there are a lot of times that I give a different opinion because I slept on it and I saw their side.
Ah, what a wise thing to do. I think I'm going to start saying Aaron for president. Because I thought I love that attitude. It's like we should have a third party called the Common Sense Party, right?
Oh, I believe about that.
Yeah, yeah. Instead of just sticking to your guns and not just figuratively, I'm saying sticking to your guns and being so set in whatever it is that the propaganda is or the party says, but really thinking, well, what really is best for people? What really is the right thing? And being open to that. And Aaron, I think you're an anomaly. I don't think there's a whole lot of you out there.
Well, I think, Kim, I hope there's more people. I'll give you a piece of trivia. At one time, there was one president that believed the way that we should all believe together as one country. And that president was Abraham Lincoln, who was a Republican, but his VP was a Democrat. And it's only happened once. And I wish in our lifetime, Kim, that we would choose to do that, and that where everybody could have their say like it once was. And it's a wonderful thought. Maybe I'm lost in my fantasy and dreams that that could ever happen, but people need to get along and figure out how we can do that.
I'm with you in that fantasy. My husband was a pessimist and I'm an optimist, but he would say that he was a realist and that I live in La La Land. And I got to say, I like it in La La Land. I'm
I
okay
do
here.
too.
It's really all right. I like that idea of, it's interesting to me. People, I think probably because news channels need to be filled 24 hours a day and then they need to be watched, so they need the ratings. And so they will harp on the same thing and whatever. Like personally, I don't watch any of them just because I want to be happy. And people that I know that spend their day in front of CNN or Fox News or something are not the happiest people I know. And you don't know what to believe or what not to believe or what the slant is. I mean, just all the stuff. And if we could just get rid of that stuff and go, what's for real? Realizing, by the way, that I know people that I adore that are Democrats. I know people that I adore that are Republicans. And you can like both people. It's not a them and us. I think everybody, gets worried. Oh my word. If this one gets elected president, the whole country's going down. What are we going to do? I don't know that anybody has some secret conspiracy just waiting to get elected and then turn us into some communist nation and take away our property. I mean, I don't think anybody's thinking like that. I think that people believe that they have the answers, that they've got good answers to help the country, that they're not looking for our ill will. And so if we realize that nobody's out to get you, we're all in this together. And if we can work more like that, and I love asking people, why do you believe what you believe? If they think something different than I do, I want to know the why. Because the way we believe today has so much to do with every day that's led up to today. The way we're raised, what we're taught along the way, where we go to school, just all the stuff, who we marry, who we hang out with, just all of it adds up to where we are. So it's interesting to me to listen to people and hear, well, why do you believe? Because there's a reason people believe the way they do.
You know, there will be one day, Kim, that we all realize to move this wonderful, great country of ours forward, we all got to get along. We all have to love each other in some way and appreciate what people bring to the table so we can all move forward. The hate has to go. And
Mhm.
I that's why I love doing garage sales and estate sales. My book has no hate in it. It's all about making money, having fun, a hobby. There's no way anybody can say it's written for the right or written for the left. It's fun. It's something just to get away from the TV, Kim, because too many people are watching TV. My son can't get off his phone. So I tell him about, let's go to a garage sale. Remember, your dad is the garage sale millionaire. Let's go make some money. He goes, ah, dad. And we have fun. It's just, that's what we need to do. Stop, Kim, you said stop the news, stop watching the news, get outside, enjoy life. And that's kind of a little bit about my book. It's a lifestyle. Garage sailing, going to estate sales, storage units. It's fun getting out with your family for a weekend, doing something else than watching Fox News or CNN or MS and all that stuff. It's the same stuff, and it's not going to make your life any happier on watching it. But you finding something for $5 that you can sell for $400, now that's something you can celebrate.
That's right. That's right. That crosses all party lines. That is a
It
good
does.
time. Nobody's not going to think that that's a good time. And what a great thing to do as a family. I love that you take your son and you go out, because for a lot of reasons, you're actually leaving the house and you're breathing air outside of the house, right? That's a thing that not everybody's doing. It can be easy to just stay home, especially after the pandemic. It can be easy to just kind of hunker down and stay home. But you're going out, doing something with your son, meeting new people. Like, I'm sure you've met wonderful, incredible, very interesting people, all kinds of people throughout the years. And what's better than that? Meeting other people and being together and doing something together. What a great thing to do together.
You can't beat it. And believe me, the reason why my son loves it, because he always finds something that I buy for him. So, and I teach him about money. I teach him how to negotiate. And so it's a true learning lesson going to garage sales. And I show my wife, honey, we should have another garage sale. That's what I teach her. I go, we should have another one. And the answer is not always yes. I will tell you that much, Kim. My wife has had probably, I don't know, 50 garage sales with me. So she's a little tapped out on garage sales, but I still think, Kim, I have one or two more under my belt.
Yeah. Well, what about your son? Maybe he can do it. He's older than 9, so he's probably not going to sell the furniture, or at least you can warn
No,
him
no,
ahead.
he's a lot smarter than me. He's a lot smarter than me. I think he'll do just fine. He loves the negotiating. He always negotiates me out of stuff. So I think I created a monster.
Yeah, that or a politician, a lawyer, who knows what you created, but a good politician if he's going to be a politician.
Yes, he's a
Yeah,
good
yeah,
kid.
yeah. Well, that's good. That's so cool. Yeah, it's so interesting, Aaron. Like, who would have thought that at 9 years old, you start this thing and it turns into something so much more. And I just think it's wonderful when you're 9 years old, you still have an imagination and the world hasn't torn you down, right? Like, you get a little bit older and it can be so easy to take in words that people say about you that are not true, that you should just deflect, but you probably don't have the maturity to deflect or whatever. And they're words that can stay with you forever. Like, I went to this, I thought was huge high school. It was not huge, but way bigger than my private middle school, this public high school. And basketball season was the first season, and I'm on the team, and you had to wear a dress to school. So that kind of ages me. I don't think they're wearing dresses to school so much anymore. But on game days, you had to wear a dress, and I had a dress on, and with all these strangers, basically, and already feeling self-conscious, and I'm at my locker getting books out or whatever it was I was doing. And this kid walked up to me and he said, "Those are the ugliest legs I've ever seen." And I went, "Oh, you gotta be kidding me." That kid ended up a year later, he was my brother's best friend. And I never had a great deal of respect for him, I gotta say, unfortunately. But what a thing to say to somebody. It's amazing how words stick. Like, that was a million years ago. I mean, I'm old. And so that was a long time ago, high school. And those words just stick with you. It's amazing what words stick with you that edify you, that bring you up, and you remember those, and the ones that just tear you down. And I don't have, in your experience in negotiating and meeting, who knows how many thousands and thousands of people you've dealt with over the years, how do you deal with angry people or hurtful words or people that are just trying to take you down? I mean, there are just some things that happen sometimes. Or how did you deal with it with your son for him to know to keep that 9-year-old imagination going and don't let people steal it away from you?
So Kim, I've How to Be the Garage Sale Millionaire is a follow-up to my first book, The Garage Sale Millionaire. And when that came out, I was also on PBS and I was on several Discovery shows. So I had a lot of feedback that you could do online. And I
Mm,
took a lot of hits. I took a lot of hits. Everybody thinks they can do it better, faster, quicker. And it gave me fuel and pushed me harder, faster, better to do bigger things. And anytime somebody has said I was not good looking growing up or I was overweight, I use that as fuel to better myself. I came, out of I heard that a lot when I was in middle school, that I was overweight and women didn't like me and stuff like that. I went on in my early 20s, I went on to model and I was in a Bud Light commercial.
oh,
And then and I was on did several things on TV. Then I went on to have my own TV show on PBS for many years, and I was told I couldn't write. Then that gave me the fuel and the power want to prove them wrong. I ended up writing for the Denver Post for a year for my own column. I didn't even go to school for writing, and I have a best-selling book. So where I'm going with this is you can get mad or you can do something about it. I've been seriously ridiculed my whole life on things. And you can either listen to the critics or prove the critics wrong.
mm,
And, it only takes one person to start a standing ovation. And that's what I do for myself every day when I am getting pushed in the wrong direction and not pushed forward.
wow, that is such great advice. That is such great advice. I know that middle school in particular can be brutal and it can be so difficult for kids. And if kids hurt, kids need to hear, understand, and take that advice to heart. Everybody does. But especially when you're in those years where it's hard to maybe have the maturity to go, fine, I'll just prove you wrong. Uh, so I love that advice though. That's so good. And it's something that everyone can use is prove them wrong. Prove them wrong. Don't let the critics be right. And nobody knows you better than you. And so often I think we know they're wrong, but when we hear something, we think, wow, is that true? Could it be true? And to push those thoughts out and go, no, it's not true. Just be who you are. There's a lot of talk about purpose, right? Like, what's my purpose? People want to know what's my purpose, and you obviously have lived this incredible purpose that you're sharing with the world. You're not just keeping it to yourself, but you've done so many things, your shows, your interviews, your books, your writing, where you've shared your knowledge, your wisdom, your what you do. Like, you're an open book. You let people in on your life, and which is so great that you've been so open to share. And that can be hard for people sometimes, to be real open and vulnerable and be open to the critics. And so thanks for being so bold and brave and going out there and paving the way for the rest of us.
Well, Kim, you're very kind, and I I love that I've had so many wonderful opportunities, and I believe with all your viewers, the opportunities are out there for everybody. They just have to be willing to take a chance, take a risk, because it's the shots you don't make are the ones you at least tried on. It's the ones that you don't take, the ones that you're going to regret.
Mm.
And I think that's what life is about. Are you going to try something and be okay if you fail, or are you going to be too scared to even want to try?
Right, right, right. And failure, I mean, you don't know. You don't
You
know
don't know.
until it happens. And so, so often I think that's what fear comes from too, is what could happen. And so, why bother with fear? Because you don't know if it's going to happen. So whatever. So yeah. So to be confident. So your greatest advice. So somebody's out there and they're like, Aaron, man, you sound so positive. And are you this positive all the time? And if so, how do you stay this positive? And what can I do to be more like you? What would you say?
Would say that the more chances you take, you're going to go through some more hard times, but I think it's the hard times that make you who you are. Somebody once told me that you don't understand money until you go bankrupt at least once. And I told him, well, I guess I don't want to understand money because I never wanted to go bankrupt. Well, fast forward to when the recession hit. Um, I was um, I was worth a couple $1 million before the recession, and then I went negative $4 million because I was specking homes and my art gallery wasn't doing well, and the bank, even though I wasn't late on anything, called in all my notes, and so I literally went $4 million in the hole and almost pushed me to bankruptcy, and I and then caused me a major heart attack
Mm,
and almost died from the heart attack. And I had a son on the way, and a lot of other bad things happened in 30 days. But, somebody once said it, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. And it's funny to say it, but know that if you have the will to move forward and you understand there is another day, and don't let people get you down, that you can almost get through anything. I was $4 million in debt and had a gallery nobody wanted to come to. And I got out of the hospital after my heart attack, and I just kicked butt and took names. I just wasn't going to have life. That was going to be the last page of my book, is me in a hospital dying from a heart attack. I fought. And now, God, it's 14 years later, and I am very successful. I have several books out, between four children's books and my second nonfiction book. I have lots of real estate. My gallery just sold for a lot of money, but that was because I did not give up. And I think that is what I'd like to leave people, that once you give up, life won. But what kind of life do you want to lose against? The life that you want to live in or the life you lose in? And I refused to ever give up. And I think your viewers should know that it could have not gotten any worse for me. But now I'm sitting in front of you having this great conversation, telling you about my life and that how I did okay.
good for you. And when you're in the thick of it, it can be hard to see the future. And so sometimes you have to take things a day at a time, but take them and figure out what that day can bring, and what the next day and the next day, and pretty soon you're on a roll and you're on your way. Yeah, the recession was tough, man. I was in business at the time too, and it was tough living through that. And I think one of the things that it taught me was money was easy. For so long, money just seemed so easy that I didn't appreciate it as much as after the recession and business tanking and things just hurting, and all of a sudden money was not so easy anymore. And to realize that, no, you got to appreciate, be grateful when something comes in. I've got this good friend, Ken Honda, who wrote a book called Happy Money. And he's from Japan. He lives in Tokyo, and his theory, that I think is true, is that the money has energy. And if you have happy money, if you say, "Oh, I'm so grateful for this paycheck," I'm so grateful that somebody gave me money for this collectible, whatever it is, I'm grateful for this money. it's different than saying, oh my gosh, I don't get paid enough. That guy's ripping me off. They charge me too much at the grocery store, right? You look at money a whole different way, and the money does have like a different energy to it. But when you can be grateful and go, I get to pay, like I have enough money to pay my bills. Like that's a happy thing. That's a good thing. And it's a whole sort of mind shift about it that, and I feel like you're like that. You know the value of money, and you've worked at it one thing at a time, recovered from $4 million in debt. I mean, that's gigantic. I mean, that's a book. That's another book, please, because that's pretty huge. And I think you need to realize that the money's, my dad just always said money's a tool. You know, it's a tool, and a tool that can be used for good. And so use your money for good, and be grateful for what you have and happy that you have it, and go make more if you need to, or whatever it happens to be. So what do you think
I
of the
I,
whole money and energy thing?
I agree. Money is a tool until it turns you into a tool. And you know, you can you can do wonderful things with money, like take care of your family and help out your community and your friends, or and give back, or you can just take all for you and none for anybody else, and then money has changed you. And
Mhm.
I think I was very lucky early on. I had a group of people around me that taught me how to be a giver and work for with the community and help and be kind. And it between my father and what I learned through good friends, it changed me. It changed my whole course of my life, because by giving back, when I owned the art gallery, people recognized my name and my store's name, and I like to give, and it was helpful, and it warmed my soul. And I think not enough young people know that giving and caring and helping, being charitable, will do more things for you than you could ever imagine. With the whatever you give, you get a lot more back than goes out. And I hope our young people start to.
Oh my word, you know, that's so true. And it's so interesting that life happens that way. But it's like you can't outgive. You know, like I believe in God, and I always feel like I can't outgive God. Like I can't. Like I run a humanitarian organization. I go to some of the poorest places in the world, and I used to have this attitude: I'm going to help. I'm going to help. You know, whatever they need, I'm going to go help, and I'm going to give and pour into them, and I'm going to give. But it's uh, what I get is 100% of the time so much more than I can possibly give. And it just is true that life sometimes is backward thinking. And you think you're doing one thing, and the way things just come back to you, and love is that way. You know, I spent this year figuring out the true meaning of love, and love is that way. You know, you don't give love to get love, but love is special in that it comes back to you. And even though you're not doing it to get it, it comes back your way, especially when you're kind and nice, and you really love sincerely. And so I can feel that from you. You just kind of exude it. And I appreciate that about you. And so what would you say, like somebody's out there, they're listening, they're going, my kid, man, he hasn't had a job, and he could do this. I think he could do this. What would be step number one to doing something like what you do?
So if they don't have a job, that means they probably don't have a lot of extra money. I would advise them to find things in their house with their obviously parents or family members' permission to sell, and to have their own garage sale. And if it's worth more than $50, maybe put it on eBay and create kind of a bankroll, and use that to start out, to go on eBay or other garage sales, Facebook Marketplace. People don't understand. They think they're going to make money off of it. They're going to make money if they're buying other people's stuff, because people do not get top dollar on Facebook Marketplace or Next Door Marketplace. They get pennies on the dollar. But if you know where to sell those items, that's where you can make a lot of money. Also on Craigslist. So get all your junk, put it on the front of your house or put it on eBay or and just try to get some money together and then just keep recycling it. Buy, sell, and build it up. Because once you do that, then you can start to go to online auctions. You can go to secondhand stores where there is so much, like Goodwill stores. People are putting stuff in Goodwill stores every day. There are things that are valuable if you just take the time, learn about eBay, learn how what you sell on your front lawn, learn where it goes on Craigslist or eBay, and then you keep on redoing, buy, sell, repeat. They'll do just fine for themselves.
That's great advice. So not Facebook Marketplace, not the place to go, but Craigslist is
Not the
good.
place to sell,
Yeah.
and not because Facebook Marketplace people stuff will sit there for a long time, and then you may have it for $500 and it'll end up selling for $75. It is not the place to make big money. That's why I say if you can ship it, you put it on eBay. But Kim, that's in the book that I wrote, How to Become the Garage Sale Millionaire. I break it down because there are so many places. Because a lot of your viewers are going to say, how can I get a value on something? Well, in eBay, it's so easy to do a reverse image search to find out what that item is. Look it up on eBay, and then on the left-hand side under completed auctions, you can actually see what that item sold for in the last 3 months. Now, Kim, if you wanted to see trends, say you have some coins or baseball cards, see what the trend is. Maybe it's better to sell it in around Christmas time or Father's Day. You can. There's an area when you have an eBay store, you can go back 3 years to see trends. And that could be beneficial when you want to sell items. So these are all things I talk about and how to become a garage sale millionaire.
Yeah. So people just need to go out and buy your book, and then they can be their own garage sale millionaire.
Exactly. And then they can come and call you up and thank you for having me on your show.
Yeah, well, I know I'm grateful, and I know other people are going to be grateful to hear what you have to say. So, so much of what you're saying spills over into every area of life. That I feel like the lessons you learned from the things that you've done have had a hand on everything else in your life, relationships, and how you talk to people, and what kind of a friend you are, what kind of a dad you are, and whatever. And I like that. Like that's amazing that you've taken it farther than a lot of people take it. It's not just buying and selling, but it's people are involved in the buying and selling.
It is, I believe that it could be so much fun. It could be a truly a family activity and have fun at it. Whether you're all going out to garage sales together or you're listing it on eBay together or you're putting it on Facebook, finding good deals on Facebook Marketplace, it is really would be fun as a new activity. Your kids always want to make money. This is the way you can teach them how to make money and how they can use their money to make more money and not your money to waste.
Yeah, yes. Which isn't that nice? Not your money to
Yes,
waste. That is good. That's so good. And it's also something that you're not punching a clock, so you can do in the time that you have available to do it, whatever that
exactly.
is for
And
you.
late at night on the weekends, this could be your side hustle. This could be just a hobby for certain weekends, or this could be your main job. It's not a get rich quick scheme. It's, going online, going to different online auctions, going to garage sales, going to estate sales. This is something you can do in your spare time. And then when you feel good enough and you're doing well enough, this is something that will become your job, but a job that you will love to do every day.
I love it. I love it. Aaron, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for everything that you've told us. And where can people find out more about you and
So
get
I'm
your
going to just grab my book, and so maybe it's see. And so this is the book that you can buy on Amazon.com, How to Become a Garage Sale Millionaire. or they can go to my website, thegaragesalemillionaire.com, and they can learn more about buying and selling. Facebook, you can always reach me because I always give tips on Facebook and people can reach out to me. And if you want to see, Kim, what I'm buying and selling, they can go to my eBay site, The Garage Sale Millionaire, and then they can get tips on what I think is collectible and how I list them on eBay. So any one of those would be a great place, but to easy to buy it, Amazon.com. You got to have that app on your phone.
Yeah, yeah. So everybody out there, I'm just so happy you watched this episode today because you're going to become a garage sale millionaire and bring your family even closer together. So how great is that? Like this is a win, 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 win thing. Aaron, thank you, thank you, thank you. Thanks for sharing all your wisdom. Thanks for sharing yourself. And I appreciate you being here so much.
Well, thank you very much, Kim, for having me on.
You bet, you bet. And thank you for joining us. And I hope you had as much fun as I did. And until we meet again, be blessed.